So yeah, I think we can start with the session now. First of all, thank you so much to join on a Sunday for a 1 hour session. Uh, yep, so I'll start now. Just let me share my screen. Yep, we'll start with this vibe coding session. Before we start, I just quickly tell you about myself. I graduated from IIT Kanpur and I worked for in product and growth roles at different consumer tech companies like Hotstar, Pocket FM, Meesho, and I'm currently working on my own startup called Triplink. Uh, I just want to quickly know if whoever has joined know anything about vibe coding and know what it exactly is. Can you just drop your thoughts on in the chat what you know about what vibe coding is? Like whatever you think that this might be vibe coding, you can just drop your thoughts on the chat. Prompting, yeah, that's close. Coding using prompts. Looked it up after your invite. Got it. Yep. So both of you are very close, right? Vibe coding is nothing but using AI as an assistant while coding any product, right? So this whole term came from a famous tweet by Andrej Karpathy, who is basically ex OpenAI, co-founder of OpenAI, and also was leading AI initiatives at Tesla. So he mentioned that AI has become good at generating coding scripts such that he just needs to add simple prompts and it just builds simple products for him. This was a tweet in February, so this is kind of a new concept, and a lot of people after this tweet started adopting to coding with AI as an assistant. Many people built simple games and scaled those games, and a lot of stuff you can see on Twitter what people are building using this. Right? So I'll tell you my process of how I do this. Uh, First, I think there are two kind of projects you can pick up to code with AI as an assistant. If you are picking up a complex project, like there are two kinds of project. One is a complex project, one is a project which is very simple, like a to-do list. So if you are picking up a complex project which involves many screens, multiple workflows, it's better that you define the product yourself first, like what will be the screens, maybe create a rough wireframe, understand what all user journeys will be part of it. So you should do that part yourself, and then using that you should generate a PRD using LLM. Any LLM you can use, ChatGPT, Claude, and I'll walk you through this process. Then you do initial code with L0 agents. L0 agents and L1 agents are just some terms that I have mentioned here. It's not a term that is defined. I'll tell you what these L0 and L1 agents are. So you do these initial code with L0 agent using prompting, then sync this code in your GitHub repo. GitHub is nothing but a version management system. So if you are building a product, you have different versions of it which you deploy. So a particular version will have a feature, the next will not have a feature, the next version will have a feature. Just managing these different versions is what GitHub helps you with. Uh, then you do major changes on that code with L1 agents, sync again those code changes and test it on L0 agent, and then deploy and publish if you have achieved a good product. Right. So I'll talk about L0 agents and L1 agents. So L0 agents are nothing but visual prompt tools which helps you build code. Right. So there's Lovable, there's Replit, there's Firebase Studio, which is a Google product, and then there's Bolt.new. I'll walk you through all these products. And then L1 agents are a bit deeper agents, which are mostly used by developers. Cursor, GitHub Copilot, and Windsurf are few examples, right? Uh, so as I spoke about non-complex projects and complex projects, right? So non-complex project like a simple to-do list, you can start directly on L0 agents. You maybe not even need a PRD, right? You can just add a prompt that build a to-do list for me in these tools, and they'll do a good job. So basically, you can build the whole project in single prompt, and you do not require to define wireframes and all that, and you even don't need to know what tech is going behind that. So what these agents do, they themselves pick up any tech stack and build it basis their own understanding. So you don't even need to know what is happening behind. And this kind of projects might not even require L1 agents. It, in case of complex projects where you have multiple screens and you are dealing with complex workflows, you will have to define the product yourself and do wireframing, ask LLM to prepare PRD, and you need to know what are the tech, what is the tech behind the project. At least you need to know the higher level tech, and you will require L1 agents for big changes here. And ideally, you should build screen by screen, not with a single prompt. Like you can't just say that build a photo sharing app for me, which also allows me to edit photos and videos. You can't just write that prompt and get a good product out of these agents. You have to build screen by screen. You first have to build a feed, you then have to build a section where you are able to edit photos and videos, right? So this comes under complex projects. You have to prompt screen by screen. Now, reasoning of this prompt screen by screen is in a complex project. You might have come up with a very big prompt for LLM. What happens in LLM right now is, as you increase the input length, or basically number of tokens. Tokens is nothing but words in the prompt that you're typing. If the input length of prompt is higher, the accuracy of these LLMs get lower, right? So that's why for a complex project, rather than writing a big prompt, you should build screen by screen, right? So let's start building a simple product. Uh, Before we start building a simple product, I'll just walk you through all these agents that I spoke about, and we can just look at few projects that I built already on these agents, and then I'll build one of the project with you guys. I'll just pause if you have any doubt till now.
Just wanted to know that when we are talking about the complex projects, when we say ki, we have to build multiple, like start by defining the PRD yourself, like, because I'm actually trying to do this complex project part only at my end. uh, Creating screen by screen and creating the wireframes for it. Do you normally so like once I start creating any kind of a wireframe from my end, do we input that wireframe, and when we try to create those screens, it doesn't normally come in the same way like you have created the wireframe. So isme, like, how do you go about this also?
So depends on what tool you are using. So first of all, defining your product and defining wireframe is for your own clarity, so that you can put good prompts, and you in the prompts you can define your vision properly, right? That is one part of this activity. Another part is if you are using a tool like Lovable, and if you are able to build a design on Figma, you can import your Figma design on Lovable and get a UI on Lovable. Uh, Versus, I think Bolt doesn't allow you to import Figma file, or any other tool doesn't allow you to.
Replit also doesn't do that. Yeah.
Yeah. So Lovable allows that. If you are able to build a design on Figma, you can import it using Lovable.
Okay. Yeah. Continue.
But I think defining is also for your own clarity, so that while prompting, you don't give random prompts, you are able to give proper prompts to the agent.
True. True.
Yep. Any other doubts? Yeah, so I think Ashu, you also tried this a complex project, maybe try next time by defining the project and prompting for a single screen at a time.
Right,
Yes,
Aditya.
right.
So I wanted to just ask, so like how in real scenario we segregate the task between back end, front end, and there would be some APIs that are required. Designing team would be working separately. So that is
Correct,
how we should ideally segregate so that the LLM also it clearly and doesn't messes up, right?
correct, correct. That's
Okay, okay, that makes sense.
it's
Thank you.
also because of this thing, right? As you increase the prompt length, the accuracy of LLMs go down. This is how currently LLMs are performing.
Right, got it. Thank you.
Yep. So, just to give you an example, I tried building a app which takes input of a video and then transcribes whatever someone is speaking in the video and converts it into a caption, right? So something like Captions AI, which is already existing tool. What I did on ChatGPT, right, is so this is a complex project where what you are doing is you are taking input of a video from a user, transcribing that video, and then adding captions on the video and then exporting the video again, right? So what I asked ChatGPT is I want to build a generator app for Instagram Reels where you can upload the media file and the tool will generate text captions inside the video file at correct timestamps with automatically using audio to text AI open API models, right? So this is something I was able to define when I did some work myself, tried to define wireframes, tried to define the workflows, how the workflow will be in the app, and then I asked ChatGPT to write a PRD of the MVP. It's very important that you always mention that write PRD of the MVP. Otherwise, what I have seen is ChatGPT builds PRD of a very complex product, right? So you can add very like many features inside this particular product. What I have defined. But if you mention that you want a MVP, it reduces the scope. And I also mentioned how I'm going to build this. I also asked ChatGPT to suggest a tech stack on which it should be built so that I understand what is happening inside the architecture. So, what the architecture that I received was uh, front end may it will take in the upload of the video, then backend may it will send the video, it will transcribe. Basically, media processor say it will convert the video using FMPEG logic. I didn't know what this FMPEG was, but then I searched. FMPEG is nothing but a processor through which you can convert a video into an audio file, and then that audio file will be sent to OpenAI ka API, and it will transcribe that audio file into text and send that text to our app. So this is a very rough understanding of how your product will be built. This is important because for a complex project, if you send this code, whatever you build on Lovable or Replit, send this code to GitHub. And once you send this code to GitHub and you want to change some complex things inside this logic, you need to know what is happening. And even if your developer knows what is happening, it will be easier for them to do the changes inside your code, right? But uh, first code will be built easily on Replit. So I'll show you what Replit built for me. So for this one, I didn't build the wireframe. I'll also show you an example where I built the wireframe. So I just added my PRD as a prompt and the tech document as a prompt in this, whatever I got from ChatGPT. And Replit started building a plan and it started executing it. I Replit asked for an OpenAI API key because you need an API to do the transcription of audio file to text. I just inserted the API key here, and there were few errors. So errors, what happens in these tools is the best thing is you can just go to your inspect tab, and whatever error you are seeing in console or network, you can just take a screenshot and tell them that this is the error. You don't need to know what the error is. So I just added the screenshots of the error and it fixes using that screenshots. It understands what the error is. I didn't code anything till now. Everything is happening through AI agent. So I just fixed multiple errors using those screenshots. I also used English to explain that what error I'm facing, figure out and fix this issue. Again, no coding, simple English. This happened for some few prompts, and this is what I got. So it is a product where you can upload your video. I'll just upload one of the video. This is a video where I'm saying something. And it will transcribe that video. It transcribe the video. You can edit whatever you want to say, and then basically the results are not that good, but you can take the code outside and you can fix the results, uh, and then you can change the font style of the caption. There are different animations you can add, and then you can continue to export. This is how your captions will look, and you can export the video, right? So there are few issues in the export. The transcribe is happening well, but timestamp पे सही caption नहीं आ रहे. But all of that is fixable once you deploy this code on Git and use cursor and other tools to fix these things and take maybe dev help if you don't want to code that much. Right, so this is one example where I didn't actually build the wireframes and all, but achieved a pretty good result, which can be improved using dev tools later. Right? Any doubts in this one? Okay, perfect. Next, I built a app called Shadigram just for wedding attendees who can share their photos while they are in the wedding, like whatever moment they're capturing in the wedding, and it will create a feed for the wedding. You can basically input the wedding code and enter into any wedding. So this is basically a very extensive app I built. Again, this was used in one of the wedding, and it worked well. Uh, yeah, so I'll tell you how I went, how I coded it is basically I first describe the product in my mind, like actually define the product well, right? So how I do, I'll tell you the process. Right, so As a product manager, you first have to think what kind of flows you'll have in this wedding app, right? So I first want people to log in inside the app, right? Then I also wanted this app to be used for multiple weddings. So let's say you logged in using your email ID. You also need to enter a wedding code, which will be provided to you during the wedding ceremony. And if you enter the correct wedding code, you will enter that particular wedding feed. You can also enter some other wedding feed if you enter some other wedding code. So this makes it easier to attend, like host multiple weddings on this app. And then I thought that there should be some feed with photos, likes, and comments, right? And then basically there should be a profile page where you can see your own photos, right? So this is how you structure, like what kind of app, what kind of screens do you want inside the app, and what will be the features on those screen photos. You can add see photos, likes, and comments on the feed, and just a basic product management stuff, right? So you define everything inside the app, and then using this definition of different screens, you write a prompt for uh, so it I deployed this on Lovable, published it on Lovable. It was a Lovable link, if that was your doubt. I didn't host it anywhere because hosting required me to buy the domain and all that. I just wanted to run it for a one particular wedding, and then not scale it, right? So this is how you define different screens. Then you tell ChatGPT that these are the this is what I want to build. These are the different screen I want. These are the different features I want in each screen, and then ChatGPT will create a PRD for you. Right? I'll try to find that chat. Right? So this is what the prompt that I gave, and in the later prompts I also explained different screens that I wanted. Right? So this PRD again I took into Lovable, and this was a huge project. Like it took me a lot of prompts, different error handlings, and different things I changed while I was building. So it took me almost around 10 hours, not continuous sitting but 10 hours in multiple settings to build this app, right? Okay, what is PRD, wireframe, and HLD? So PRD is nothing but a product requirement doc, where if you want to, before building any tool, you first want to define ki what you are building, what are the different features that will be part of that tool, what are the different screens those tools mein honge. That is what a PRD is. You just go and write everything about it, right? Wireframe is nothing but how it will look high level. So let's say this whole Gmeet screen, right? This is a UI. You can just add wireframes of it. Like this is the section where you will see my shared screen. This is the section where you will see people who have attended. This is a section where you will see all the chats. So you just do a higher level wireframing of how your screen will be divided. And HLD is a tech diagram where how your workflows will work, like a higher level definition of that inside the tech. You don't need to know all of these things. Uh, you can just prompt ChatGPT that I want to build this, and ChatGPT will automatically create a doc for you, which will be a PRD. Right, so this is how this whole Shadigram was built. It took me 10 hours. and then I published it on the Lovable link only. No, I actually generated uh, Figma files for this and gave it to Lovable. Yeah, yeah, I did design myself. You don't need to actually, but I wanted the design to be specifically like that. So I actually designed the screens and everything and input it into Lovable. I think this is not the page. There's a page, but this is just a poster that I designed. I designed the sign up and everything, right? So this is what Shadigram was. Now what I'll do is I'll go ahead and build a to-do list in front of you guys doing the whole process, right? I will not go ahead and build ask ChatGPT to build a PID because to-do list is a very straightforward project. It's not a complex project. I'll just make you guys go through the non-complex project path with a simple project. And ideally, if it was a complex project, you will first go build a PRD, build wireframes, and then come here and prompt on Lovable. But let's say I want to build a to-do list. Right? This is a very simple prompt. It takes some time, but I've seen usually Lovable gives me best result out of Replit, Bolt, and Lovable. Replit is, I feel, better for complex projects. So, Good New is a tool which helps you with Android and iOS apps. Lovable and Replit don't directly build Android and iOS apps, but you can just export the code in GitHub in these two, and then you can yourself code iOS and Android app using that code. In case of Bolt, you can't sync that code to GitHub. So what I'm talking about is this AI agent built something for me, but it also has a code uh, using which like it actually coded this, right? This is a code for this particular thing. This is just a preview you are seeing. What a good thing about Lovable and Replit is you can also export this code to your GitHub and then do changes yourself, which allows more flexibility. Right, so this Lovable built a very simple to-do list for me. So let's see what all it has added. Uh, it's a very decent app. Like you can add your tasks, you can mark them as done, you can delete those tasks, right? Now, next step that I do for a complex project is I sync this to GitHub, right? You need to have a GitHub account, and again, it's not very complex. Just create a GitHub account and sync to it. So it's synced and it created a repository for me. If I go to my GitHub, A cozy task keeper is the name that it has given to it, and there's a repository that is created in my GitHub, cozy task keeper, and this has all the code files, right? Now, what this means is जो भी code lovable ने create करा है is all here. You can now open this code in any dev tool, right? So I also talked about L1 agents, right? L1 agents are a bit more advanced agents. They are similar to Lovable, Replit, and Firebase, but they are much more advanced in terms of the changes that they can do in your code. And again, you don't need to know coding to just start using these tools. They also have similar UI. I'll just show you. So this is cursor. All you need to do is clone your repo here, right? So I'll clone my repo. I'll just enter the URL of my repo. And then what these tools do is you need to store these files on your local. Just don't do anything. Just save these files in any of the folder. Right? So this is the folder description. Perfect. So all of these cozy task keeper repository files are here now. You don't need to understand anything. Again, this is a tool where you have a chatbot. You can prompt anything here and it will do the changes for you. So I'll add a context. Uh, so this is a to list app. So what I'll do now is I'll ask it to generate different regions inside the app. So you can add a task, but I want to know if that task is in progress, uh, to be picked up, in progress, or done, right? Just like a Kanban board. So I'll ask it to build that. Right, so I'll ask cursor to do these changes for me. It just keep running command. You don't need to know what all is happening. You can just keep saying accept all and continue. So it is done with the changes. Now you just need to push these changes again to your GitHub repository, right? So it's a process. Stage करते हैं पहले changes, then you commit, and then it syncs to your GitHub. So I'll just ask it to stage the changes. And then I'll ask it to commit changes. Okay, so these changes are committed. अपने GitHub में भी they might have synced, and we'll just go to Lovable directly and see if it has picked up the synced changes or not. Okay, I might have to sync here first. यहाँ पे so it has come external commit आ गया है at Kanban board. So you get these issues sometime. Maybe I'll just ask again to so external commit at Kanban board, add it's beautiful, create, update app routine. I'll just again ask. So just as I explained in the prompt, right, ki I need sections where I can see my in progress to be picked up tasks, in progress tasks, and done tasks. That this whole design is what you call as Kanban board. So I'll tell you a similar app that was built. So this is what Cursor built, right? So it built the Kanban board. You can drag it in progress, done, and all that, right? So you built a simple to-do list app on Lovable, deployed, synced those changes in GitHub, then made bigger changes using cursor. Again, deployed those, committed those changes on GitHub, and you will see those changes reflected in the Lovable app. So I'll just pause here and understand if you guys have any doubts in this. So you can do whole thing in cursor. It's just that it is faster to build the code on. I'm talking about complex projects. So this particular project was a simple project. Consider a complex project where you want to build something very big. Lovable does 70 to 80% of your job, and it does it faster. And it's also easier for you to test on Lovable. On Cursor, you again first have to deploy all the code on localhost. फिर localhost पे एक link बना के you have to open it on preview and test. Versus on Lovable, you can just directly test through their inbuilt preview. You can build whole thing on Cursor for sure, but I feel Lovable is faster for first 78 to 80% of the code. So yeah, this is a good question, Santosh. What in case of Lovable? Uh, So I'll give you example of this particular uh, app. So you can actually connect it to Supabase. Supabase is nothing but a complete backend where you can add your tables, you can have a storage, you can have a database and everything. And you can just ask Lovable, you can just connect your Supabase account and ask Lovable to add a table in Supabase for inactive users, right? Just this simple prompt, and you will get that table in Supabase. Currently, my connection is lost, that's why it's not happening. But you can just build whole backend also inside Supabase. It can integrate with AWS and GCP also. Uh, I've not tried yet, but I'm sure it can be possible. Right, so I'll just continue with my few things that I wanted to talk about here. Right, so we built a simple product, and we saw this whole process, right? So we defined the product. To-do list was not needed, but I walked you through different projects that I worked on where I defined the product, generated the PRD, and then we for to-do list initial code was generated on Lovable, which is a L0 agent. Then we synced the code in Git repo. We did one major change, the Kanban code change on L1 agent called cursor. We again synced that change and tested it on Lovable. And then you can just deploy and publish with Lovable, right? If you want to self-host, you can buy a domain, and Lovable also allows you to host it on some other domain, right? So what publish will do is it will give you a Lovable link. So this is the Lovable domain, shadigram.lovable.app. If this works for you, you can just publish it in on this link, and you can just share it with your users. Uh, Next thing I wanted to talk about was this whole process of building products is easier, but you always, for building complex projects, you always require dev help, because deploying a proper production level code needs good skill. currently AI cannot deploy your project properly on instances and all that. Also, if you don't know much about tech, there are security concerns which can happen in your app if you just uh, build it using vibe coding and deploy it on production. So take example of this particular person. He built everything on cursor with zero code. But this person, while building, he shared API keys with people. Uh, he was not aware कि API keys share करने से security concerns होते हैं, and a lot of people attacked on his app, and his app crashed, right? So you need to know some tech to actually build production level code and production level apps using vibe coding. So I'll talk about use cases, right? How you can use vibe coding. If you want to build prototypes, as a product manager, you want to go to your dev team and explain to them what you are trying to build in the explore phase. You can just go on Lovable and try to build a prototype for that. Again, so for building a prototype, there are no security concerns. You don't need to deploy it, and it can be used to use yourself also if you want to verify whether whatever you are thinking is tech feasible or not. Then you can also build internal tools or personal tools using this vibe coding. So again, you don't need any security concerns because it's for your own purpose. You are building something, or internal tool inside the company. You are building something. This might need simple deployment, but again, you don't need a developer for to help you in this. And it can be used to build productivity tools and all that. Now, in case if you want to build something where you want to actually onboard multiple users and build for production scale, there will be security concerns. So either you should yourself learn about them or have a developer who is helping you to solve for security concerns. These will require proper deployment. You can't deploy on Lovable if you want to do production scale uh, app. Basically, you need to deploy it on instances, GCP, AWS, and that requires a proper deployment plan, and which requires a developer help. And this can be done with technologies or developer support. Like you can vibe code a scalable like production scalable product, but with a technology yourself or a developer support. Right? So yeah, I'm done with my presentation.